how things are set up for you to be able to get your rights. Now, I'm going to just go through 2 or 3 major rights that you should be aware of, because I know I have only 6 minutes. There'll be questions later. The first thing you should know is that as a worker, you must be paid in cash. It's a right. Any contract that pays you in kind or pays you part of your benefits in something else other than cash, it's illegal. You must be paid in intervals that does not exceed 1 month. That means you cannot be paid quarterly. You cannot be paid half yearly. So if someone is owing you a salary that exceeds 1 month, they're violating a law. But you can also not be paid in advance in excess of 1 month. The other thing is that you must have a written contract within 3 months max of your starting a job. Written, it must be written within 3 months maximum. You might not get it immediately, but within 3 months of starting, you should have a written contract, or else there's a violation going on right there. The third thing, and I'm sure many people didn't realize this, is that your employer cannot deduct your salary, deduct anything from your salary, unless there's direct evidence that you are responsible for having caused a loss or an injury. If there's no evidence, then they cannot, no employer can deduct anything from your salary as punishment. It's illegal. Even when there's evidence that you are directly responsible for a loss, there has to be a written approval from somebody that's called a labor officer. That's somebody who works with the Ministry of Labor before such a deduction can happen. Without all that, any deduction from your salary is illegal. Now, even if an employer overpays you a salary, that deduction must happen within 3 months. If that, all of the deduction of the overpayment doesn't happen within 3 months, they cannot deduct that money. And after 3 months, anything that is not done after 3 months, you can't do it. You cannot force somebody to work for you illegally. You can't force somebody to work for you. Only government can force people to go to work, and that can only happen in the case of an emergency or a calamity. There's freedom of association. It's illegal to prevent people from associating. You can't stop people from joining labor. And we'll talk about rest later. I need to yield the floor. It's 7 minutes already. Just one last thing, Toyosi. Permit me to mention this. The law requires that the workplace be made conducive in all respects for the worker. And lastly, maternity leave, 12 weeks of maternity leave by law is mandatory, it's the law. And Lagos State has now said 10 days of paternity leave within the first 2 months of a baby coming. It's by law, the right of the worker.